I really want to welcome all our EDA students to this session on helping you to prepare for the examination. I'm Connie Haasbroek, and next to me is one of our lecturers. He's also helping and is part of the lecturer team. He's one of our secondary lecturers, that's Herman Venter. And I really want to apologize to my students, but Mr. Liwe Kumalu won't be able to attend today's meeting, but you are so welcome also to contact her if there's any problems that you are experiencing. As you know, EDA3013, it's about guidance, counseling and life skills. I have also to share some sad news with you because this is the last year of offering this module, as it will be replaced in the next new B.Ed curriculum.
The purpose of today's discussion is to focus on the exams that you're all hopefully preparing for, and we want you to approach the upcoming exams with a sense of confidence and with positivity. Imagine for a second you decided to run a marathon at the end of the year and you practiced and trained every single day, but you never got to run the marathon. See the exams in that light. It should be an opportunity for you to share your knowledge, to show your understanding of the module, and not a source of anxiety. That is why we are available. If you have any questions, we will discuss certain interesting and worthwhile topics today, all relating to your exam. And if you have any questions based on anything you hear in this discussion, please feel free to contact us.
Thank you, Herman. So basically there are 4 points that we are going to deal with. Well, one is the nature of the examination. When we're going to talk about really the learning material, what you need to know for the exams, as well as some common mistakes that we picked up during the marking of assignment 1 and assignment 2, and then the support, because we would really like, and like Herman also has said, guys, please, it's so important that you make use of us as well as your ED tutors if there's something that you struggle with, that you don't understand, that you need clarification on. Regarding the nature of the examination, it's a closed book examination. That means no study guides are allowed, no crypt notes. Please, 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 I'm begging you, don't try to cheat in the exams. You will be caught and you will be punished very severely. That will be against your name forever. The time duration needs 2 hours. The supplementary exams is scheduled for January, February 2020. Please take note of this. The reason for that is, like I've already indicated, that this module, it's the last semester of offering. So usually the supplementaries would have been in May, June, but we have got special permission from Senate to help you to do the supplementaries in 2020 during January and February. But please guys, again, I'm pleading with you. We don't want supplementaries. Pass it the first time and get it over so you can move on. And very important, there is a tutorial letter 201 that has got all the correct answers in and also explaining to you what's the format of the examination going to.
From my side, I would just like to point out that even though this exam won't have a specific delimitation, even though you have to know all your work, it is still an integral part of your academic development to identify certain areas of the work that you find might possibly be more important than other areas in the exam. But with that being said, I would also like to suggest that you focus on the work you find challenging. It is always easy to focus on the work you understand, but it can give you a false understanding or perception of your actual grasp of the module. Try to identify the work that you find challenging. If you look at it and you still find it challenging, please contact us. There is still time left. And please bear in mind that 120 hours study time for a 12 credit module, even if you study every day for 2 months, 2 hours a day. That will be just enough according to the required study time.
If you have got a 12 credit module like EDA3013, that means at least a minimum of 120 hours. And to add to that, you know, studying at tertiary level is also about making sacrifices. So guys, please, don't go and party, stay at home and study. Reading is not study, but it's two different things. We will a little bit later talk about the difference between reading and studying. You know, when students fail, I said, but I've read through my study material. That's not studying, but we will come to that. And some admin rule as well. From an academic side, if you cannot write the examination, please don't contact us. There's nothing that we can do. Contact the examination department. There are certain processes, procedures that you need to follow that will help you to rewrite the exams. But don't waste your time and money by contacting us, because we are only going to refer you back to the examination department. They are responsible for arranging all the different examinations and following certain procedures. Let me quickly just have some time that we are going to discuss the common mistakes that we picked up, especially during the marking. Students, please, you are breaking our hearts due to incomplete answers. Either you don't submit the full assignment, just question 1 and 2, totally forgetting about question 3 and 4, or also the answers, they are so incomplete. If we want to explain that, 1 fact equals 1 mark. So if it look at the mark allocation, if a mark allocation is 3 marks, then that means at least 3 facts. To be safe, rather give more, rather give 5 facts, because that will help you to make certain that you are going to cover all what's been required from you. Maybe you want to talk about
I would just add that writing the same fact in 3 different ways won't give you 3 marks. We know when the same fact or the same idea or concept or thought gets repeated, and unfortunately you will still only receive 1 mark. It's also important for us to remember that certain problems that we experience during the writing of assignments apply to the exam to a certain extent, even though we don't expect you to use proper referencing technique while writing an exam, saying exactly what your source is and what the page number is. We still need to discuss paraphrasing and plagiarism. Paraphrasing in the sense that we often make use of someone else's thoughts and ideas, and when we paraphrase, we put it in our own words, which is fine and a very valuable academic skill to develop, especially for those of us that plan on developing our academic skills to the furthest of our potential and our abilities. But the moment we pretend that those thoughts, concepts and ideas are our own, it becomes a problem.
Well, I think you're touching on something very, very important. That is the whole thing about plagiarism and paraphrasing. My dear students, it's killing me to give you a 0, and many of you received 0s during both assignments. And the reason for that was that you were cutting and paste directly from your study guide or from the internet. Our markers are, I'm very, very strict with the markers. We do moderate their work, so they know they need to look out for plagiarism. Plagiarism, like Herman has said, it's when you copied other people's work and present it as your own. This is a criminal offense, and if you're found guilty of that, you can be suspended from this university. What you have to do is, and if you look at your study guide, it's been all over my study guide. If you're going to cut and paste from any source, your study guide or the internet, you're going to get zeros. And this is exactly what we have done. That is why you ended up with very, very low marks. And that's going to result in a very, very low year mark. Paraphrasing is a very important skill. Google the word paraphrase. There are wonderful videos. There's one on, it's been called The Helping Professor, that will help you to understand what paraphrasing is all about, how you do that. But basically, if you paraphrase, what you do is you read through the text, you underline the most important key concepts, then you write it down on a piece of paper, only the key concept, then you close your book and you go and have a sip of water. Then you come back and then you write down, but you can remember what was standing there. This is also how learning is happening, and this is when we know that deep learning is happening, that you are able, whatever you have read, you are now able to give it back to us by understanding. And if you cannot, then you go back and you repeat the process until you reach the point that you can be able to do that. And this is part of studying, and that is why you will need at least 120 hours of study time, because this is something that you need to develop, that you need to do. And you are senior students. You know, we have got much more sympathy when it's coming to our first level students, but you're a third level student. I don't want this type of work from my senior students, really.
We don't want to test your memorization skills. We don't want to see whether you're able to memorize study material. We need to see whether you understand the work. And as Dr. Haasbroek stated, it is very important for you to be able to take a certain idea, put it into your own words, because that gives you a firm indication of whether you understand the work or not. A grade 1 can memorize something and write down what they memorized in a test and perhaps get full marks for an answer. That doesn't really test their understanding. And as Dr. Haasbroek said, at your current academic level, understanding and interpretation, as well as application, which we'll touch on a little bit later, becomes more important than mere memorization of facts.
And I think this will bring us to another point of a common mistake that was being done. And this is what's happening when you cut and paste from the internet or wherever. And that is to give irrelevant answers. If you look at this module's name, it's about guidance and counseling and life skills. It's regarding a specific area, a subject area. Now, how do you make sure that at least you give relevant answers? By first, you must read and understand your question. Make sure that you underline the nouns and the verbs within the question. And make sure that the answers are related to the question and the specific subject. Now, that is the problem when you plagiarize from the internet. I want to use an example from a study guide, the one on physical support, and I just want to refer to the study guide here on page 25. It's subsection 241. It's regarding physical support. Now, what students do, they think they are very clever, so they Google physical support, and then they end up in giving us examples that it's about the physical support structures that you use during the construction of a building. Yes, that's true, but it's not related to this subject, because in this subject, we are in this context, we are talking about learners, your pupils one day that has got specific disabilities or special needs. For example, they cannot see or hear well, and how you're going to support them. It's got nothing to do with physical support. So you're going to get a 0, although it's correct, but it's not related to this subject.
That's also why it's very important to read your questions. Make sure you understand exactly what is expected of you, the purpose of the question, exactly what it focuses on, what it relates to ensure that your answer is relevant, accurate, and shows your understanding of the module. You want to use the exam as an opportunity to really display your understanding, to show your understanding. An exam should really be something to celebrate. Unfortunately, for those that didn't work during the year, and for those that perhaps didn't study the required amount of time, the exam might be, and will probably be very challenging. In that sense, the exam is serving its purpose. It is giving an accurate reflection of your understanding of the work. And we just hope that the exam is a positive experience for you. In the end, however, whether the exam is a positive experience or not depends on you, on what you've done during the year, on your behavior, on your commitment, and the hard work you did.
We're coming to application questions. You will also see in your tab 201, but I usually question 3 and 4, it's application questions. Now, as Herman indicated to you, application questions is part of our high order cognitive thinking skills. From first year level and grade 1s, we only are using low order thinking skills. That is, for example, recall and remembrance. Now we're taking it a little bit higher, because now we want you to start thinking about what you are reading and see how you can apply that theory. Otherwise, there's no sense of coming to a higher institution, learn a lot of theory that you can Google, that's true, but it's not about just parrot learning and giving it back. It's about what are you going to do with that knowledge? How are you going to make use of that in real life? And this is what application questions are all about. It's testing if you can use the theory, put it into practice, and that you can resolve real life problems. For example, in our study guide, and there's a whole section when it's coming to the guidelines, when it's coming to the emotional support of students. If you look at your question 3 of an assignment, there's a case study. Now, if we make use of scenarios and case studies, usually that's coming from our experience and our community engagement. So this is really happening in real life. In your assignment, you have had this case study of Anna. Now, she's an orphan, and both her parents died in a taxi accident, and she's staying now with her grandma in a rural village, and she's totally there, and nobody loves her, and her grandma says she's like a lost dog. So yes, this poor little young child. Now, what you have to do is you look at this case study after you have first read through the theory, and then you look for clues in the case study. For example, if you look at your guidelines, it's saying, for example, part of the emotional support that you're going to give is, for example, to create a warm and caring learning atmosphere. Now, if you think back at the case study we were giving, here is a young little child that's totally lost, that doesn't have any caring people around her. So now you must be thinking, critical thinking, and be creative. How are you going to help this poor little child, and applying the guidelines to make her life better? Because this is what's going to be required from you once you are a professional teacher.
The purpose of a university is not to help you prepare and pass exams. It is one function, but the greater purpose of university and of tertiary study as a whole is to prepare you to step into a place of work and contribute, make a positive contribution, add to the value of what is being done, whether it's a school or whether you become a counselor. It is very important to use your knowledge. So when you prepare, and while you prepare for this exam, as we're sure you are doing, remember that you're not just preparing to pass an exam, but you're also preparing to step into a world of work where you can make a positive difference in the lives of others, and indirectly a positive difference in your own life. please don't just see this as a burden or as a test that needs to be passed. See it as an opportunity for you to not only show what you've learned, but also to take the next step towards entering the world with the capability of really making a difference. It isn't just about knowledge and information. And as Dr. Haasbroek said, the application of what you learn is very, very important.
Thank you. Just to summarize, and it's about you must know the theory. Without a theory, it's not going to help. But not only knowing it, because it's not that you must understand the theory. And if you do paraphrasing, that will help you to understand the theory. You have to identify the clues that's been given to you in the scenario and case study. And look at your theory and see if you can see that in that case study. And then critical think about ways how you can link the theory to the scenario or the case study. By using that given clues, and be very specific. Many of you have lost really a lot of marks because you give us general type of answers. You haven't put it through and be specific and individualize that to the case of Anna.
When you spend enough time with the content of this module, you will also start linking what you read to experiences from your own life, and that also gives meaning to your academic learning experience. It also helps you understand what you're reading, what you're supposed to know for the exam, and it helps you apply by thinking of examples from your own life experience, from your own frame of reference. Make the work personal. Don't treat the work as if it exists in a different universe and as if you can just forget about it as soon as you've passed the module, moving on to a next academic challenge. Try to make it personal by giving it value in your own life.
Wow, that's very important. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, that's the other thing that I really don't understand, my dear students, is why don't you read your tutorial letters? Read tutorial 101 and 201, especially if you look at tutorial letter 101, page 14 to 50, that's dealing with the exams. 201, it's about the assignments, the correct answer as well as the format of examination paper. And I think what's very, very important, make sure you know the correct time and date and place of the venue. And make sure that you are there in time. You know, you must be 50 minutes before the time you must be seated. Don't come rushing in there, your anxiety levels will go right through the sky. Please. And the other thing is, don't cramp. You know, like I say, you cannot fit 120 hours into one night. That's not possible. So make sure that you've got a study program, that you adhere to that you make the necessary sacrifices. And also, you cannot go and write on an empty stomach. Please make sure that at least you have had some fruit and a slice of bread with an egg or something, just to give you the energy to go through.
And you're allowed to have water with you during the exam.
Clean water.
And it has been proven more than once,
Yes.
scientifically, that drinking water while you're focusing on cognitive tasks like writing an exam improves your performance. Exams can be stressful even if you studied, even for those that prepare and know their work. All the wonderful advice that Dr. Haasbroek just gave you, please take that to heart. You don't want to rush and feel stressed because you didn't know whether you were going to be on time for the exam. I made a rule of being at least 1 hour early for all my exams to make sure that I can just relax. I also made a rule of not trying to study too hard the day before the exam, because at that point you should know your work. Go in there with a positive mental attitude. Don't be negative. Remember all the hard work you did. Think back. Think about every test that you've ever written, the path you walked through school all the way from grade 1, finishing school. think about the time when you enrolled at university for the first time years ago. All the challenges and obstacles you've overcome. Considering everything you've done to reach this point, you should be aware that there's nothing that can prevent you from passing and making a success of this specific exam. It is important, and you will be successful. That success, however, is in your hands.
And something that's very important that I want you to remember. Please, my dear students, you are not alone. You have got a whole lecturer team behind you. You have got an ear-tutor team. We are very lucky that this module has got ear-tutors. Please contact us, and contact us via the lecturers via email, because we are not always in our offices. That's true. We're attending meetings and workshops, making video recordings like this afternoon. So please guys, send us an email, look at your tutorial letter for the contact details, and please contact us if you need any support, any clarification, and you've got your ear-tutors that can also help and guide you through this. And then I think what's left for us to say is, be blessed, be safe, and we wish you all the best from our whole human being.
If you approach exams with your heart and not just your mind, if you work in a dedicated way, success will be inevitable. Best of luck with your exams.